Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanny and Clarky visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Very well, thank you.
Very well. Very well.
Yeah. Got any news?
Yes.
And you?
Oh, I'm tickety-boo, tickety-boo.
I don't really have any news, but we've had some glorious weather for the first time in 4 months. And it just makes a bit of a difference where you can sort of think some nicer weather, the sky's clear, everything looks like the windows have been washed. Well, except my windows haven't been washed, but it's a nice kind of time, isn't it?
All right, well, I suppose we should introduce ourselves then. I'm Schmidty.
I'm Swanny.
And I'm Clarky. And together we are
Trial
by
Wine. And on the subject of wine, what are we drinking?
Well, I'm very thirsty, so I'm on a mineral water to start with, and then I will crack open. I've got a little DC ready to go, little chaser. What about you guys?
Good one?
We're on the hard stuff. It's a sparkling mineral water. Yay!
Oh! Trial by sparkling water.
Yes.
I've got a big 2-litre bottle of plain old water, but that's not what I'm on. I am keeping up the end of the deal.
I saw a fancy glass earlier. So
Yes.
Whoa, that's very nice.
Do we call it a glass or do we call it a bucket? I have
a
one of those.
bucket.
Yeah, it's a balloon. It's a, what do you call them? They're the gin balloon type.
Gin
Gin
glass,
glass.
yeah.
Yeah, and it has some Sauvignon Blanc from Ara, and the rest of it is tonic water.
Gin.
It's a spritzer.
Oh.
No, it's not gin. It's tonic water.
Sauvignon Blanc and tonic water.
It's remarkably drinkable. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Did you
what
make that up or is it a thing?
I think I'm not going to say I made it up. I know I drink it, and I think my mum told me to drink it.
Sounds like you made
but I
it
don't
up.
know if it's a
I
thing.
think it's what an original thing. When people used to have a white wine spritzer, which no one does now, right?
Was it
I think
with
that's
tonic,
it.
not
Because
soda?
now if people talk about a spritz, everyone's thinking they're talking about a Hugo Spritz or a Aperol or whatever else. They're not thinking it's that. But I think that for many women at one point, a white wine spritzer was a thing. And I think you're just going to bring it back.
Wow.
Maybe
We
I'd
had
like
rosé
that.
spritzers the other day, but just with sparkling water and rosé, not tonic.
I'd wondered if you guys were going to have some like salamis and cabana and that with
I
you
did
today
think of
after your making sessions. And I thought maybe they'll have some Italian wines and some meat treats.
Could you imagine our listeners listening to this as well as us indulging in a cheese plattery kind of thing?
Nom, 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 nom.
No. Yeah.
Not ideal.
No, probably not.
While you were talking, I checked, and yes, you can. People say you can have tonic water in a spritz. There's nothing to stop you, but I wouldn't say I made it up. I wouldn't say it's my invention. Someone else has tried it. But
Oh,
it's not
hang on. I
popular.
was confused.
Oh,
I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
thinking you said tonic water. I thought it was just like a soda or something.
Club
So
soda, they say.
Yes, the tonic is what I didn't even realize you said that. Oh God, yuck.
That's exactly where I was going, and you were acting like it was normal, and I'm like, is it just me?
It's not
Oh,
yuck.
God,
It's
yuck.
quite nice. It's not
Oh, yeah,
yuck.
you could-
That's better.
that for
Yay!
me. Yeah, me being such a white wine drinker, white wine and tonic, they're like the two least favourite things. I think I probably might have been like gin. I think it's a tonic I hate.
It's like a gin and tonic, but with a little
Yeah,
bit of a
again,
winey
gross.
taste instead of gin. See, I like gin and tonic.
Welcome back, Swanny.
Yeah, I'm back
So if you just don't like tonic, then fair
I
enough.
think-
Of course, you're
yeah,
not going to
I
like
don't
it.
like tonic, but that whole idea of a white wine spritzer really does take me back somewhere to maybe my stepmother or someone drinking it.
I like a spritz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a spritzer, and Mum always sort of recommended it to not get too shit-faced.
Yes.
And
That's
You never
right.
took her
why
advice, I don't
decided on-
think.
Oh, excuse me. I was going to say that's precisely why I'm drinking one today.
Today.
And Tony's
Yeah,
not.
when I-
Today.
When I say
Today.
when I say
Now.
I like a
Yeah.
spritzer, the only reason I would drink one is to not get too shit faced.
To not get too shit-faced. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise get shit faced.
Yeah, true. Shall I tell you a story?
Please do.
Please do, yes.
I've had this one on my radar for ages and ages, and I just thought finally it's time to tell this story. And I'm glad that I sort of spent some time mulling over it because it gave me a bit of a chance to find new sources for research and stuff, because if I'd done it a few years ago, some of these things might not have existed or I wouldn't have been aware of them. So today I'm going to tell you about a very famous case from the US, and I'm no doubt you've both heard of this. This is the case of the death of Caylee Anthony.
It's not ringing any bells.
mean-
And I can tell by your reactions that perhaps
Can you hear all those bells ringing? They're all ringing right now.
Dong.
as such excellent true crime aficionados that you both are.
Yeah.
Okay, well you'll know the
Especially
story
me.
by the end of this.
We've probably done it and forgotten it, Swanny.
That would be totally.
definitely haven't.
I'll come off it. I wouldn't know what I've done.
I can assure you we have not. covered
Although
this
a
one.
headline came up the other day, and I went, "Oh, I know that story. I did that ages ago." And they've like rehashed
Okay.
it, like on Daily Mail or something. And like,
Yeah.
there's no new news. It was just
I
the
reckon
angle
5
they
minutes
chose.
into this,
That's
you're going to do the
disappointing.
same thing.
Well, let's see.
Oh, I know that one.
Hopefully, there's no
You
bells ringing. at the
probably will
moment.
know it. You
Oh,
probably
really?
will.
Okay.
It was a big deal, but it was a big deal back in 2008, so it is a bit of an old story.
Oh,
So
I
my
wouldn't know what was a
sources
big deal
are
in 2008.
people.com, Wikipedia, Vox. You and I were in the UK in 2008, so I didn't
Yes,
know
was
it
it?
from there. I must say I didn't. Yeah, I'd never read
That
about
was
it
not
there.
the
I read about
greatest
it
year of
here.
my life, 2008. I had a new baby and a husband who nearly died, and it was all a little bit of a blur. Right, anyway, what's the story?
Okay. Wikipedia, Vox, a 2022 Peacock documentary called Where the Truth Lies, referenced in time and available on Foxtel. And it's well worth the watch if you like this story. Oxygen.com, The Case of Caylee Anthony is the episode. ForensicFocus.com, CrimeMuseum.org, NewsNation.now.com, FoxNews.com, StateVCasey.wordpress.com, and CNN.com. So,
Is that all?
yeah, just a few. Let's start at the beginning. Casey Marie Anthony was born on the 19th of March, 1986, in Warren, Ohio. She grew up in what appeared from the outside to be a stable middle-class family. Her father, George Anthony, had worked as a police officer before shifting to security jobs, although he always talked about himself working in law enforcement, but I'm pretty sure he was a cop. And her mother, Cindy, was a nurse. Together with Casey's older brother, Lee, the family relocated to Orlando, Florida, where they lived in a modest suburban home. Those who knew Casey as a child described her as bright and personable, but also prone to truth stretching.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Casey.
Teachers noticed that she sometimes...
Did she truth stretch herself to death?
No. Almost, but no. Teachers noticed that she sometimes made shit up, and friends recalled that she would often stretch the truth to avoid accountability.
I was a bit of a truth stretcher in my day.
Oh, well, I hope...
Certainly on
Really?
news. I've got actual recollections when we used to get up and tell news. You know, like it'd be your turn to tell news. There
I
were
lied on occasion, yeah.
two different occasions that I remember. Once I talked about having an older sister, and another time I talked about we'd been to Switzerland and Egypt. And I'd got that straight out of an atlas when I was in about first class. And I
Is this
remember
like
saying
show
this.
and tell, you mean?
Yes,
Like a show
news.
and tell type?
Show and tell. Yeah.
I think I lied
So
about
I was a
something
bit of
in
a
show and tell
bullshitter. I was
too.
a bit of a true stretcher. Trust me, there was a significant amount of stretch in that. So yeah.
Yeah, but
let's
that's
just
two
see how-
occasions. I think Casey did it a lot more regularly. Yeah.
Also, that sounds like harmless truth stretching, which is kind of the best fun. Right? I admire you for those two stories.
Do you imagine the kids in the class were going, "Oh, what a lot of bullshit! Sit down,
they
sit
weren't.
down."
I bet they were dumb. They
What
just
do you
sat there
mean
going,
she's got an older
"Where's
sister? She doesn't have
Egypt?"
an older sister. Yeah, where's her older sister? I think it was a lot of
seen her
wishful
older
thinking on
sister.
my behalf.
Scandal.
No, I definitely wanted one, and I
Oh.
certainly wanted to go to Switzerland and Egypt. But there you go.
Love
Well,
it.
I hope that your lying was not attributed to the same things that Casey Anthony's lying are attributed
Whoops.
to, but we'll find out in a minute.
Uh
Yep.
oh.
But anyway, everyone seemed to remember Casey as a bit of a bullshit artist, but they liked her. So she got on all right, but everyone kind of knew that she was a bullshit artist. By her teenage years, Casey was known as social and fun-loving. But again, she was prone to keeping secrets.
A lot of parallels.
Very well. Yeah, they weren't very good secrets. The most memorable was that she was pregnant because everyone knew she was, but she denied it till she was around 7 months, which, by that time, either she's having the biggest poo baby or she hasn't pooed for
Yeah.
weeks or she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Or she's a snake
She al-
and she's swallowed a
She's got a
basketball
lot of-
hole.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. She also stretched the truth a bit about who the daddy was. No one seemed to wonder why she might have avoided acknowledging the pregnancy or why she was cagey about the father. They just sort of talked about the fact that she was. When Caylee Marie Anthony was born on the 9th of August in 2005, Casey told her then boyfriend that Caylee was his. But I believe he later did a paternity test as he worked out that she'd gotten pregnant before they were going out.
Yep.
Then she told
what a
people that
mole. I hate that.
some old friend of
I'm
hers was
not
the
a fan
father,
of
but
her.
he'd moved away, and that's fine. He'd moved away and started his own family. Oh, and also he died in a car accident.
Oh, what a bummer.
Also not true.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know who the father of that one. Definitely not true. Don't know who the father is. The latest I've heard Casey say is that she was actually the victim of a date rape, and she'd fallen pregnant, and she just didn't want anyone to think of her child as unwanted or the result of something quite negative. So she just lied.
Does that seem like it's correct, or does it seem like more truth?
It's quite possible. It's quite possible.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I'm not saying it's
Because
correct.
you don't want to
It's
make light of
possible.
that stuff.
No, and there's a lot of what I was saying before about I've known about this for a while. I got a whole other version of the way it could have all happened from that documentary, the 2022 documentary. And if you do any work on this and you do any research, most of the people in America think that Caylee Anthony is a murderer. So you're not going to get an unbiased opinion more often than not, because everyone decided back in 2008 that she'd done it. And she is telling her own story in that 2022 documentary, which a lot of people say is bullshit. But there is quite a lot in it that make you sit there and think, I can see, with the benefit of hindsight, that is possible. That could have been what
Is
happened.
she the girl who cried wolf?
She is. She is. In fact, I think the last line of this is something about her being the girl who cried wolf. But yes, so
nice.
I still don't know.
So she was pregnant. She had the baby. She then
Caylee.
said that Caylee. Then she said that this other
And
fellow,
she's still a teenager
that no
at this
one
point,
remembered,
right?
19.
Okay.
When she had Caylee, yeah. She said that this friend was a thing, but he moved away, and then he had kids of his own, and then he died in a car accident, and she cried about that. So she didn't just lie; she made up quite good stories and kept them going. You know, it wasn't
Newsworthy,
just
like myself.
a narrative. Put it that way.
Yeah.
As with most young women in their late teens who find themselves with a baby, Casey sought support from her parents. Her mother, Cindy, was helpful, but from what I read, also possibly a bit overbearing, which led to Casey telling fibs at times for an easier life. According to all of Casey's friends and everyone who was interviewed with regards to the way she treated her child, she was a loving and attentive mother. Not a single person said otherwise. She didn't go out partying constantly. She might have gone out once a month or so. And that is not the view that the media would have you take. The media would like you to think that she was a party girl, encumbered by this child. She would often take Caylee with her to her friends. And because her mother didn't like that, because her mother acted like Caylee was hers, or that, her mother did that kind of standard thing that a mum would do, going, you don't know what you're doing. You're not a good mum. You're too young to get pregnant, yada, yada, yada. You're a child yourself. How could you possibly raise a child? That kind of behaviour. So Casey would lie to her, basically, and she would take the baby with her to her friend's house or whatever, but she'd tell her mother and the others that she had a babysitter whose name was Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. And Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez would often look after Caylee.
When you say she told that, it's just a lie, is it?
Yes, it's a lie.
Oh,
yes,
okay,
yes.
Okay, that's not
Of
But
course,
at least
Cindy
she
would also.
stereotyped her lie quite well.
I can explain it in a minute. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as it might feel. Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy would also help look after Caylee, and to the outside world, everything looked good. Caylee was a happy and thriving little girl. Obviously, Casey and Cindy had some fights that were witnessed by others as well about Caylee, and of course her mum thought she was irresponsible, standard criticism and all that sort of thing, and that all went down like a cup of cold sick with Casey, so she'd fight with her mum about it. But overall, people thought they were a happy enough family. That was until June 15, 2008. Now, there are different accounts of what happened on that day, but what we do know is that Caylee and Casey were staying at her mum and dad's, so Cindy and George's house. Cindy left for work in the morning. George and Caylee and Casey were at the house. George gave Caylee breakfast, which he often did. And then George says that he saw Casey and Caylee leaving the house at 10 to 1 with saying that Casey was dressed and going to work. And they had backpacks with them and off they went. But Casey told investigators also that she had gone and she had dropped Caylee at the babysitter's, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. Casey did leave the home that day and she went to her boyfriend's place, who lived with a couple of other guys and not very far away. And they remember Casey showing up and acting perfectly normally, but without Caylee, and that was at about 4:30 in the afternoon. 31 days later, Cindy, the mum, called 911 to report Caylee missing. She had demanded to see Caylee, and Casey had finally admitted that she hadn't seen Caylee for weeks. That same day, Cindy discovered that Casey's car had been towed from an impound lot, or to an impound lot, not sure which. It had been left outside a shop, I think, in front of a dumpster on the 27th of June, and then it was towed on the 30th of June. Now, allegedly, the car smelled of decomposition. But decomposition of what exactly?
That's what I was wondering. I bet you're going to tell us.
I am. So obviously everyone wanted to know what had been going on for 31 days. How can a mother not report her kid missing or abducted in all that time? And what was she doing?
What were they all
and
doing?
As it turned out, thank you.
Didn't they all live in the same bloody house?
Well, I think Casey went to stay with her boyfriend a few days a week, but I don't think she went to stay with her boyfriend for 31 days straight. Yeah.
And honestly, any grandmother or person who's involved in a baby or young person's life is going to want to know where they are after like 15 minutes, certainly a couple of days. Should be like, you wouldn't wait 31 days.
Well, while we're on the topic, do you not think any mother or grandmother, as you just described, would also have expected to have met this babysitter?
Yeah.
I would have thought. ZFG we're talking about.
ZFG.
ZFG.
Apparently, Casey had told her mother and others that she was using ZFG services for like a year or something. It wasn't like just then.
But no one's seen her.
No one's seen her.
Grandmother, surely you'd go, can't I have her? Don't send her to ZFG. Why does she get her all the time?
How old is Caylee at this point?
Caylee's 2 and 10 months.
So she can speak.
Just under 3. Yeah, she could speak.
Yeah.
And she could walk and all the rest of it. But I think their grandmother, Cindy, loved having Caylee around.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of a kind of like...
She's your kid as well. You know, you've got to grow up a bit.
She's your kid, yeah. So
I get
there
that
were
too,
elements of like if someone reported, I can't remember who, but someone said that if Casey went out one time, if she was out, you know, after 9 or something, the mum would be ringing her going, come on, come home. You got to put your kid to bed. She's your kid. I want to go to bed, you know, that kind of thing.
No.
And so it made it easier for Casey just to take Caylee with her. Point is, Zenaida didn't exist, but Casey didn't. She had another friend who looked after her every now and then too, but she generally didn't foist her kid on other people. She would take her kid with her to her friend's house or whatever, and they weren't going out clubbing or whatever. Yeah, they weren't. She was generally at the house, and that's what I'm saying. All the friends and all the video footage and all the rest of it. Definitely, she presents as a loving and attentive mother, young mother.
So I'm confused now because of the ZFG babysitting services, but she's actually not doing any of that. She's just parenting. Is that like she's taking her baby with her when she goes places? Was that?
Yeah, but I don't think that was the issue. I think the issue is that she's lying about things. So her behaviour in that 31 days and her lies are what gets her in hot water. It's the absolute boy who cried wolf is what happens here.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to get my head around that whole thing of the mum and ZFG but really there's nothing going on other than she's just taking her baby with her.
That's what I read.
Not like she's locking it in a cupboard or leaving her in the car or anything like that.
There was a bit of scuttlebutt with no evidence whatsoever that she had left the kid in a car, but there was no evidence that she ever did that. And someone made the suggestion
was she at the pokies when she did?
No,
allegedly?
She called. The problem was she called Zenaida Zanny the nanny, and
that's a terrible problem.
Because people jumped to Xanax. Zanny being a word for Xanax, right?
Oh, really?
So people decided that what she meant by Zanny the nanny was that she was drugging her child
baby.
and sedating her child and leaving her in the boot of the car to sleep. None. Absolutely none.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
But
Wow.
I still read people on Reddit and all the rest of it saying, oh, she sedated the kid. There's absolutely no evidence that happened whatsoever, but people have made this decision that she did.
But I guess the bit I'm trying to get clear is, despite all of these carry on and rumours and whatever, what we understand is that she was just taking her baby with her when she went to her friend's house.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was annoying people in as much as she was telling people that she had a job and, can you babysit for me because I've got to work? But she didn't actually have a job. So, and she hadn't, and she told the police that she worked at Universal Studios
But
as an
so
event promoter.
she was getting people to babysit.
Yes, but when I say she didn't
fraudulently.
have a job, she was, and she did a bit of that, but it was one friend. And when the friend found out she didn't have a job, she's like, fuck off, I'm not babysitting for you now, you user. And so she's like, okay, fine. So then Cindy,
What was she
the mum,
doing
did more of it.
when she was pretending to be working? What was she actually doing that made her give...
I'm not sure that she wasn't working, but she wasn't working in Universal Studios or the other place. So let me get into what happens in the 31 days, and
Okay.
it
Yes,
might give
I
us
need
a bit
to
more of a
know.
sense about her, right?
Because I'm like, that makes no sense to me as a parent or anybody. To be honest.
Yeah, I had big judgy pants on, but
I bet you
probably
do.
let's
see
do
what,
this.
because none of this makes sense at this point to me. Go.
None of this does make sense. I'll
Okay.
go so far as to say Caylee Anthony does not behave in the way that anyone would anticipate or expect.
Okay.
And that's what makes this case weird.
Okay.
So she stays at her boyfriend's place and she's just starting going out with this Tony Lazzaro guy. And he was a party promoter. And so she was working with him cash in hand. So she was going, in this period, she was photographed at clubs and socializing. That's what it looked like. But she was actually working for, or at least with Tony at the time, managing shot girls. Do you remember Carla, 2008? The women who'd walk around trying to sell you shots
Vaguely.
from whatever the latest company was in their skimpy outfits and all the rest of it. Everyone's having a great time, all that kind of experiential marketing, I think you'll find it's called. So she was sort of working on that. And there's some evidence, like she's Googling, even on the day that Caylee disappears, she's Googling outfits for shot girls and stuff. And she's looking at Fusion Nightclub, which was one of the places that they were working. Anyway, so she also took the opportunity at this point in this 31 days to get a tattoo which said Bella Vita on her shoulder. And the thing about that, everyone's like, and she said that it said good life, but we know it's actually beautiful life because obviously she does not parla Italiano. But the thing about it, she did say to people later that it was actually it was an ironic statement because her life was not beautiful. She wasn't in work. She was a young parent. Not that she had any problem with Caylee, but she's living at home with her parents.
Oh, yeah, because people love doing ironic tattoos. That doesn't sound right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, having watched a lot of her, I could imagine that she might have thought it was smart at the time. Anyway, she didn't appear. Well, yes, she didn't appear at the time to be concerned at all about where Caylee was. And she didn't tell anyone that she was missing, and she didn't change her behaviour. So no one sort of, apart from the grandmother going, where is Caylee? Where is she? No one else seemed to ask where Caylee was either, which, again, I find odd. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're hanging out at your boyfriend's for, months, and prior to that you'd bring your kid over every other week, and now you're not bringing your kid over at all, it's a bit weird. It's just weird.
Very, very weird.
No one called it out. Yeah.
I can't imagine a friend with a 2-year-old coming over and not going, where's your 2-year-old?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like the first thing you say? Or are they coming? Are they...
Oh, it was with Zanny.
Caylee?
Zanny the nanny. With Zanny the nanny. She told everyone she was with Zanny the nanny, but I don't know why she's with Zanny the nanny for 4 weeks.
When she does say they're with Zanny the nanny, where are they? Sorry, where's the child then?
Where is she? Yeah.
Wherever Zanny the nanny lives. In Florida, somewhere. Somewhere
yeah,
in
no, but this is... Yeah, this is why I'm really confused.
It's sus, right? It's weird.
No, it's not weird. But Zanny the nanny isn't a real person. Is that right?
Well, but only you and I and Casey know that at this point in the story.
Okay.
Only you and I and Clarky and Woo and Casey herself know that Zanny the nanny is not a person. And some people even suggest that she seemed to have convinced herself that Zanny nanny was a real person. But anyway, so the day after her mother called 911, which was a month after Caylee disappeared, Casey was arrested for child neglect, lying to law enforcement and obstructing an investigation. The day after the mum called 911. One day. 24 hours. And their rationale was they thought that she might kill herself because they immediately thought they immediately thought she had killed her child. And there was another case of a woman who had killed her child who then wasn't arrested immediately and was afforded the opportunity to end her own life. And so their justification for why they arrested her within 24 hours of the 911 call was to protect her.
It's not your telling of this story, but fuck me, I'm confused. Like I just no one is acting as normal. Like no one.
That's
what?
a really good call. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this like we've gone down a rabbit hole and we're in Wonderland and everyone's just weird?
You try researching it. Go,
fucking hell. What?
How do I tell them that? They're not going to get
We arrested you within a day for no reason other than you thought you were going to kill yourself. Did we even investigate or they just went?
No, we just immediately assumed that you killed your kid is what I took from that. Yeah. And we better keep you in custody in case you kill yourself while we seek to prove that that's the case. So she told there's a quote from George where the policeman shows up. And remember, George is ex-law enforcement.
Yep.
And the police talk to him all the time about, like he's one of them because he's the ex-law enforcement. And so they show up and they say, oh, look, we're just taking Caylee down to the cop shop for some questioning. She'll probably be there a while or she's not coming home or something like that. So they basically tell George immediately, we're taking her in and we're arresting her.
Well, she's not coming out. And he's like, yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Just swing past Zanny Nanny on the way so you can see if Kaylee's there. What? So
then they're saying to Casey, okay, tell us what's happened. She's very composed the whole time. And she says, oh, Kaylee's been kidnapped actually by Zanny the nanny, Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez.
So they've arrested her for lying to police or something. So she then goes and lies to them.
Obstructing an investigation. She never stops lying to them. Yeah. In her written statement about what she had been doing in the 31 days, she said, for the past 4 weeks since Kaylee's disappearance, I've stayed at Anthony's apartment at Sutton Place. I've spent every day since Monday, the 9th of June, 2008, looking for my daughter. That's definitely not true. Although there was some evidence that she was out in the woods looking for her. Okay, so she says, I've stolen from friends and family to do whatever I could by any means to find my daughter. Mind you, she did steal money in this 31 days. She stole it from her friend Amy, and I think it was like $400. I think she got a checkbook or something and wrote a fake check. But she did not steal that money for whatever means to find her daughter. She just went shopping and bought some clothes and shit. I avoided calling the police or even notifying my own family out of fear. I have been and still am afraid of what has or may happen to Caylee. Every day I've gone to malls, parks, any place I could remember Zenaida taking Caylee.
Illusions nightclub.
Fusion.
I've
tried to find any information, Caylee or Zenaida, whether by going to a popular bar or restaurant. Yeah.
Hang on.
That's how you do it. I'm going to go to popular bars and restaurants to find information on my missing daughter.
My kidnapped child.
Yeah.
It'd be the first thing that come to my mind for sure.
So is she now saying that her baby hasn't been seen for 31 days and was kidnapped by the babysitter, but she didn't report it? Her mum had to 31 days later? Is that?
Yeah.
Am I reading the room right?
I think so.
That's
and
right.
but that's not to say she hasn't been on the case herself. She's been doing a lot of self-investigation.
Yes, I'll investigate myself. I won't report it.
No.
I will find her myself.
That sounds credible. Sure. Yeah. Sorry. Encyclopedia Brown.
Don't want to put you out at all. I'll look for it. I'll do it myself.
It didn't take long for the investigators to discover that this story is a bit of bullshit because Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez does exist, but was not her nanny. And Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez is a nanny, though, but just not
in that area?
Not in that area, no. And incidentally, Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez sued for defamation afterwards.
So she should have.
So they'd never met. They same state.
How did she know about it? How did she know about
her from someone else who might have used her services, but she certainly didn't know her herself. She told them, she took the police to a unit where Zenaida was allegedly living, and obviously Zenaida wasn't there. And they said it was really weird. Like she walked through and people would look at her and she's waving at them like they know her and they're waving back like, who's that?
Who are you?
And it turned out that another friend of hers had actually lived in that apartment block.
Yeah.
So she says herself, she seeded truth in all of her lies. So there were elements of truth in every lie that she told to try to keep them to be believable. And she told them that she worked at Universal Studios for years. And the reality is she had worked at Universal Studios, but she had left there before, I think, Caylee was born. And Caylee at this point is 2 years and 10 months old. Again, there's that little pocket of truth. I work at Universal. She actually ended up taking the police. They made her take them to Universal Studios, and she drove into the car park and she walked on in, and then she gets to some point and she turns around and she says, oh, look, I don't work here. So, she took the lie so far that they took her to places for her to be called out on her own bullshit.
Oh, this would be doing my head
How
in.
infuriating.
Honestly, I would turn into a full-on mum at this point. I'd just be like, this is not my first rodeo. Like, you've got to be kidding me, young lady.
Again?
You're wasting everybody's time here.
Yeah, totally. Now, she invented a lot. She invented Zanny the Nanny. Zanny the Nanny had an unreal sister called Samantha and a mother, Gloria.
Milko.
Yep. Jeff Hopkins, who she worked with, was now at Nickelodeon, and she'd gone to visit him in Florida. He had 2 boys that Caylee played with all the time, and Zenaida had been a nanny for him too. Only Jeff Hopkins didn't work with her. I think he went to school in the same school as her. He had no children, and he had not required a nanny for them because they didn't exist. Other people said
that's very loosely based on the truth, isn't it? That lie.
Just picked a name of someone. Yeah.
Does she have a mental health issue? I mean, what's going on? She's delusional.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Other people said she called, said were witnesses either didn't exist at all or denied that they were involved or her version of events at all. Yes, as I said, she carried on the lie about Universal so long that the detectives made her take them to her work. So her penchant for truth stretching made her look very guilty indeed. So Casey, having been arrested in July, was indicted by a grand jury on October the 14th, 2008 for first-degree murder.
Mm. Did they have a body?
At this point, they hadn't. No. And I looked it up. It's not that usual for them to indict a person on first-degree murder without a body, without evidence, because it's hard to win the case. But clearly the prosecution and the police investigating felt that they could get a conviction. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put it through to an indictment.
Haven't we done other cases where they haven't arrested because there's been no body?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Like,
I'm telling you, they were convinced that she had murdered her child. They were convinced she had murdered her kid. It was just a matter of time. And even if they couldn't prove that just people, everyone thought she'd done it.
I mean, on surface value, I reckon I'm convinced she did too at this point, but I am keeping an open mind.
I think
I've got no idea what's going on. I mean, literally, there's some poor kid that's missing with a mum that just seems to be pretty calm about it all. I don't know if she's suggesting something bad's happened to her, or she's been kidnapped, or she's gone missing, or she's been murdered.
She's don't know what. By. Don't worry, she'll be back. I
Casey
believe it.
Actually thinks,
I believe it. I believe she'll be back. I'm sure she's fine.
And Nana and Pop haven't wondered for 31 days.
Imagine actually trying
Nana
to investigate it and talking to these people and going.
Who has? Sorry,
Nana's been investigating.
Nana has. Nana didn't wait till day 31.
Nana kept asking, "Where's Caylee? Where's Caylee?
Yeah,
Let me see
good.
Caylee." And then she rang 911, and she rang them 3 times because she's like, "There's something wrong. This kid's missing. There's something wrong."
Okay.
And
done,
eventually,
Cindy.
And she and Lee, the older brother, basically got it out of her that Caylee was missing. So on December the 11th, 2008, Caylee's body was found less than a mile from the Anthony house.
Oh, hang on. When was that? Sorry?
December 11, 2008. So 5 months.
Is that like 6 months later?
Yeah, June to December. Yeah.
As an aside, a man named Roy Cronk tried to get the police to pay attention to a suspicious bag in the area in August, 4 months before, But the police did a half-assed job looking into it and didn't take it seriously, even though they had an active abduction case on their hands, and the spot they were looking at was less than 1,600 metres from the Anthony house.
This is nonsense. So hang on a minute. Somebody named Roy Kronk.
So there's a suspicious bag.
There's a suspicious bag, which
3 times.
could have had the
3
baby
times
in
he called the
it.
police. 3 times
Where
he
was
called
the
the police.
suspicious
Was the
bag?
baby in the
Thing
bag?
down there, probably, most likely.
What?
The baby's body
Where-
would have been in the bag, yeah.
Where was the bag, Schmidty?
What?
I know it was near the house, but doing it.
About 16. So you walk down, you come out of their house, you turn right, walk down a road which had an ironic name. I can't think of, like Pleasantville or something. Can't remember what it is now. Turn right, and then there's like a
Safety street.
As you walk out, you get to like a
Common Sense Street.
No, as you walk out, God, I had it today. I forgot to write it down. You walk out onto this drive, and it turns into a big forested area on the right-hand side. And it's
Okay.
almost like, when you're walking along and then there's a park, or, you're walking to a green belt. It's like
Yeah.
you walk to a green belt, but where the body was almost like, I don't know, 15, 20 metres just there.
Into it.
So you could have walked, and I say this later, but you could have walked 20 minutes into this forest and put the body in there and no one would ever find it. This body's
Is
like
Roy
right
Kronk
on the edge.
real?
20 minutes in, yeah.
Roy Kronk is real. I wonder whether or not because his name was Roy Kronk is why the police did not take him seriously.
I mean, it's fair.
But
I
it's
could
not his
understand
fault.
that. But 3 times,
It's
and
like the world according to
body's
Cunt.
in the bag,
called.
and no one. It takes them 4 months to. What?
And he says something about and then after this, there's a cyclone or a tornado or something comes through the area because being Orlando, and so a lot of water goes through the area, the woodlands where the body is at this time. And he says, "Yeah, no, that's where I saw it, but it looked different because at the time it was only a month old. It wasn't, 6 months
Several
old,
months and decaying or whatever.
and
Yeah.
beaten up and animal predated and stuff. Anyway, we'll get onto that." That failure to act significantly impacted any evidence that could have been gathered at the time, and the officer was subsequently fired. Yes,
So
Swanny.
just quickly recapping. So Caylee last seen.
Can you please hang on? Let me just get my whiteboard out.
Page 3 of 10. Page 3 of 10.
Caylee last seen 15th of June 2008. 31 days later, Cindy calls the cops for the 3rd time saying, "Come on, my granddaughter's missing."
Calls them 3 times in quick succession.
That day. Okay, session. Yeah, okay, got it.
In the
right.
one day.
On the one day.
So then things start to happen.
Yeah.
At some
The
point,
next
Roy
day-
Kronk,
She's arrested the next
Next
day.
day
yeah,
she's arrested.
but
yeah.
in the background, in August, so
Back
they've
in
now-
August, Roy Kronk had been calling
after
the
they've
police
already
saying,
got
"I'm seeing something
Casey,
suspicious."
Roy Kronk
Yeah.
said, "I'm seeing something." That's ignored. When they find, this is what my question is, when they find this bag, is that based on Roy Kronk's direction? No, it's just totally random.
Good
Who finds
question.
that in December?
No, I think someone else actually finds it. It's not Roy Kronk, I think.
Okay, so that's what I was
It's like
thinking.
some
I got the
service
impression that
worker
Ray
or
Kronk had
something
been
finds it.
ignored, but there was
He had.
when they went back, they found that record.
And he gave up,
So
right?
this
He
is
tried
a
3
different-
times and
yeah,
then thought,
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
And the story
Shonky
I heard,
Cronky.
which was on the Oxygen episode, was that the police, 2 policemen had shown up, constables or whatever, showed up, and one of them slipped a bit walking into the foresty bit, and he was like, ugh, not anywhere
not
near
on
the
the
remains,
body.
but he just slipped in the muddy
Yeah.
area, and he was like, fuck this for a lark, and then left.
Let's
And
not
that
go
was
there.
why they
Out of
didn't
there.
investigate, because it was just a bit inconvenient and
Oh,
gross.
too muddy. Oh, well, no, that's
It was
fair.
muddy. Yeah. It's a swampy sort of area from what I can gather.
Does anyone behave like a normal person in this town?
Yeah.
Not so far.
They don't. Not so
Or
far.
maybe
no.
Roy Kronk.
Roy Kronk is the most normal person in the story so far, yes. So poor Caylee's body was badly decomposed, so they were unable to determine cause of death. But they did test her hair for drugs, and there were none. And there was no sign of blunt force trauma or, there was no striations on the bones or cracks to the skull was intact and all the rest of it. So there was no evidence of, and I'm not
Would you
sure if
expect
they
Zanny
were
to
able
be
to
in
find
her
a
hair?
hyroid bone. Yes, you would expect
You would?
Zanny to be in her hair, but there wasn't any.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Zanny
You
or
can
any
cross
other
that
drug.
off. You can stop chasing
No
that
drugs.
red herring.
Correct.
Malnourished.
Yep. No, she wasn't malnourished. She was very well cared for. Her body had been wrapped in a blanket and then black plastic bags, and then it was put in this laundry bag, and it was a white laundry bag, sort of a canvas bag with a metal opening, to keep it open so you can chuck your laundry in, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So I imagine that
Was
whenever
it on
Caylee
wheels?
died, no, it's just a canvas bag, but like a
Do you know what I mean?
probably
I've had one like that on
wide one.
wheels.
Yeah. But, like the ones with the rings in them to hold them open kind of thing, but it was around the top.
Yeah.
So
Like hospital stuff.
I imagine what happened was Caylee died, and whomever decided to not call anyone wrapped her up in a blanket, put put her in the rubbish bags, taped it, and then put it in the laundry bag for the ease of movement, taking her out. So she was found with grey duct tape connected to some of the hair on her head, and it was when she was found, the duct tape was actually lying across her nose and mouth. So it was lying across her face. The autopsy did note that there was no visible soft tissue beneath the tape. Remember, she had decomposed, so there wasn't a lot of soft tissue at all. There was nothing in the notes to say that the tape had been tested beyond that to prove or disprove if it had been across her skin, i.e. stuck to her skin. The mandible was still in the approximate anatomic position, which led the medical examiner to believe
The
her head had been...
approximate anatomic position. It's not a nice phrase, is it?
It's I took it from the autopsy.
Roughly where it should be.
It was very much where it should be. And I'll get to this, but when your flesh decomposes off your head, your mandible has nothing holding it on anymore because it's held on by tendons and muscles, and so it falls off. So what you would expect to have seen at this point is that the mandible would no longer have been connected to the rest of the skull. It would have detached. However, the medical examiner supposed that the duct tape was taped to her face in such a fashion as to hold the mandible in place. And it's that duct tape being over the face, it doesn't make any sense when you think about it, because as the flesh all goes away and the tape is just flapping freely, the mandible would still fall away, right?
Yeah.
So that's a dumb theory. But it worked as a theory for suffocation. So if we're trying to say someone duct taped this kid's face to kill them,
whilst it was alive, that's what I was trying to...
And that is when the medical examiner ruled it a homicide because of the duct tape. So the autopsy result was, we don't know what killed this child, but it was a homicide.
So the duct tape, there was duct tape, but it wasn't necessarily attached to her face. And somebody decided that the duct tape held the jaw roughly in place and therefore it's a homicide. Is that?
Yes.
So
got the gist
still Roy Kronk is the only one behaving like a normal person. Is that correct?
Yes.
What the fuck?
No, I know it's all a bit gruesome what I just described, but I have read the autopsy reports and other in-depth articles with regards to the forensics of this case. And it is more likely that the mandible stayed in place because the head had become detached from the rest of the body, due to animal predation. And the way it had fallen, animals ate some of her.
Okay.
And so, pulled at her. And so other bones were found in other places. She was sort of scattered around a bit. The remains were scattered around. But the way what I've understood is the way the head positioned itself at that time, it was still attached, right? And the tape's fallen down. The tape is actually connected to hair at the back of the head and it's flapping down in front. But the other thing to take into account is that the head is sort of semi-submerged in mud. So the mud is actually holding the mandible in place. And I'm sorry, but because it was 6 months between her being put there and then being found, roots were growing up around her. So the root growth also around the base of the skull, the head, she had a hair mat, which is where the hair is all matted at the back of the head. That's what the tape was connected to. So as the roots come out, that's what's holding the mud and the roots and all of that is what's holding the skull in place. And in point of fact, as I understand it, the skull was partially submerged in this mud so that the cranium and the ocular space, eye sockets were visible, and the tape was actually on the mud. So the tape, if you were taped over your face and your head fell in mud, the tape would be in the mud. It wouldn't be external to the mud. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, but I think we're getting quite technical now.
The point
was there a
is,
lot of tape?
there were three. Here's another thing. There were 3 pieces of tape, and they go on about the measurements, but 3 pieces of duct tape between 6 and 9 inches long. They make a fuss about how long the duct tape is, right? Doesn't really matter. If you were going to suffocate, and other investigators, including a guy from New Scotland Yard, said, if you're going to suffocate a kid and that their face is the size of your hand, you just put your hand over their face. You don't put 3 carefully positioned pieces of duct tape over their face to suffocate them. It's improbable. It's highly improbable that the duct tape had anything to do with the death of Caylee. Yeah.
Why is it there then?
Because I believe it was there as part of how the body was disposed of. So the body was put in a blanket. It had a couple of plastic bags over it, and I reckon the duct tape was to hold the plastic bags in place.
But it ended up coming away from the blanket.
The black
and
bags
ended up
had
on her
ripped.
face.
They were everything. The black bags were all ripped, right? So they were in chunks. They were falling apart. So we're not dealing 6 months later with what the state of the body when it was positioned. So it's all been ripped up. So there's tape, there's junk everywhere too, by the way. There's tape found 30, 40 feet away somewhere as well. Like there's just shit everywhere in this crime scene.
I just feel like you can't read anything conclusive into the tape. Like I get there could be a hypothesis of this or a hypothesis of that, but
agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't read into it, and you shouldn't rule it a homicide based on that, because you cannot read anything into it.
Possibly she put the duct tape over the mouth to keep it quiet, not to suffocate it, and that happened, but who knows?
Or she didn't.
Which would be an accidental death, not a...
And the plastic bag, as it disintegrated, fell away, leaving the tape that had once been associated to the plastic bag. And it was delaminating too, so even the tape itself was falling apart. So, I'm with you. I don't think you can actually draw a direct
There's a lot of different hypotheses you could make up about it, but...
Exactly the point. Yeah. I knew the tape was going to be a hard one to get through. Wait till we get to the trunk of the car.
I mean, it's all been so simple otherwise.
I know.
Exactly.
So, you thought Scott Peterson was a hard one to get through.
Yeah.
The only evidence the police have on this is totally circumstantial, is the point. But they're very sure that Caylee Anthony killed her child. And they seemed to only be interested in lining the evidence up to prove that. At one point, on the day they arrested her, they did give her a sort of out by saying, accidents happen. Maybe she drowned. They had an above-ground pool. Maybe she drowned. Maybe something happened. Is there something you want to tell us? Maybe you don't want your family to know, or you'd be upset or whatever, that sort of shit. Nope, she stuck with the line. Been abducted by Zanny the nanny. She, or as I had written it much more eloquently, Casey was pretty deep in her deception and wouldn't veer from her version of events. That's how I'd written it. What a ponce. Her lies formed the basis of 4 misdemeanor convictions, which she was convicted of, for providing false information to law enforcement. So, of course, as one might expect, this court case was a sensation. By the time she went to trial, the people of America had already decided she was guilty.
What did she say when they said, "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?"
Sure, with my fingers crossed.
Whatever.
Maybe she'll do what Jared Hayden Clay did. Like, I know I've been lying before, but now I will tell the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's pretty much what her 2022 documentary is like.
Yeah.
I know. I absolutely lied about this, and this, but I didn't lie about that. But this is the problem with the Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Are we in 2009 now?
No, we're in 2011, I think.
11, okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're in 2011. Yep. So we're going to trial. Everyone thinks she's guilty. Your mate, Clarky, Nancy Grace, she's leading the charge.
Oh, Nancy Grace, I'd forgotten about her. What a mole.
She's out there.
She's the blonde lady on...
Yes.
Yeah.
She's Scott Petersoning her way through this as well.
Yeah, it's what she does. It's
making outrageous claims and not apologising for any of them that aren't true.
She's out there telling people that this girl is a psychopath and a sociopath, that she's a kitty killer. She's turning people's views
she's-
immediately before
She's awful,
the trial
isn't she?
to say that this woman is guilty. The prosecution let really hard into the fact that Casey is a liar and that she was very disassociated and remote and just acting all normal, if you like, for the 31 days post Caylee's disappearance. They posited that she killed Caylee so that she could go out partying all the time, free from having to look after her. And they put lots of the photos of her doing the work, the promotion work and going to those things, trying to get some cash at the time. They put them everywhere. They were leaked in the media. Everyone saw these images. But I'll just remind you again that all of her friends and family and people who knew her prior to Caylee's disappearance said she was a doting and loving mother, and there was no indication whatsoever that she ever resented having Caylee. None. But Casey is a big fat liar.
When you say there was no evidence of her, apart from the fact that she went places and no one knows where the baby was when she said she was with Zanny the nanny?
People did know, so the people she was with knew that Caylee was with them. But Mum thought she was with Zanny the nanny because that's what she would tell her.
But didn't you say she would turn up to people's house and say the baby's with
she
Zanny
never
the nanny?
abandoned. She never abandoned. No, it was only really
Sorry,
telling her
I thought
mum. Yeah, and then that
I thought you
friend.
said she went to friends'
No. No. What she did with that was she lied to friends and got them to babysit for her, saying that she was working. But then, she used up some of those favours. But there was, when she is witnessed with her child, she is never seen to be neglectful whatsoever.
Right.
She's never seen to be resentful. She never said, she's lovely and all, but, I'd give anything to not have a kid. None of that sort of stuff. She seemed to be delighted that Caylee was the best thing in her life, frankly. That's what it appeared to be. She wasn't doing terribly well with men.
Except for
She had a few
31 days
boyfriends.
she wasn't around and she didn't say. I'm very much
that's
struggling.
Right. And going back to Swanny saying, was there a mental illness here? And I'm about to get into it. And I'm not going to call it a mental illness, but I will give you a theory as to why this is how she behaved.
That's what I need to hear. Yeah.
Now, before I get too far into the whole trial, etc., I think this is a really long story. So I think what I might do is pause there and come back next week and tell you the second part of the Caylee Anthony story, where we cover pretty much the trial and newish information or theories, etc., if you like, that have come from the 2022 documentary. So on that note, as we say every week, miss you already. Ciao. Ciao, 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 ciao. Ciao. Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.